Okay, this will be take one. Let's see how actually recording from my webcam is going to work. I don't know how this is going to end up. But hey guys, what an opening for me, right? My name is Rabbit and welcome to a very long awaited and long needed video update or vlog or life update, whatever you really want to call these. I guess I should call them wine updates because I'm almost always drinking wine whenever I create any sort of live video. So, it kind of is what it is. So grab yourselves a glass of wine or a cup of tea or a cup of coffee, depending on the time of day that you're watching this. I just wanted to go ahead and film something for you guys so you could see my face and know that I am still alive and well. I have kind of a new background going on, as I've kind of mentioned throughout my most recent Let's Play project and series. I'm in the process, well, I'm mostly through with the process, but I'm still dealing with some of the last little bits and pieces of moving to my new home. Yay! I am officially a homeowner, which is wonderful, but also very stressful. The whole process has just been a little bit of a mess. So I'm not going to walk you guys through everything, and I don't want to repeat the same sorts of things that I have said in my current Let's Play project, but at the same time, I recognize that not everyone watches every series that I put out, so I did want to film something for those of you who maybe are watching something else on the channel that I filmed last year or 2 years ago or whatever, and you're just kind of wanting to know how I'm doing, because I haven't done much of the, I guess, like community posts. I probably should. There was a time when I was so active with posting actual textual updates for you guys, so you knew everything going on with me. And then my life kind of just spiraled out of control, which is going to be a part of the update that I'm providing to you guys today. So let me take a sip of wine, and I think I'm just going to film this in one cut. I know, like, the big thing on YouTube is heavy editing, and you guys who've been with me for a long time, I'm pretty real, I'm pretty raw. What you see is what you get. There's not really an ulterior motive to things that I do. I'm just a dork who wants to help people, hence, my career in public health, and I like to play video games. So that's me, and that's all there really is to me. So let me take a sip of wine and get to the point of what I'm here to talk to you guys about and share with you all. So I kind of only have three main things that I really want to touch on, and one is kind of just a general life update with me, sort of what's been going on, why this year has been kind of garbage in terms of uploads. I keep going through spells where I'll have a month where I'm good at getting up like 3 to 5 videos a week, and then there'll be a month where you guys get like 1 video a week, and I just, it's been rough, but I'll touch on that. So life updates will be one thing. I want to talk to you guys. This is kind of like a pseudo offshoot of the life update, but I want to talk to you more about like work updates, and that sort of transitions into the third piece that I really want to discuss with you guys, and that is like a channel update and kind of everything that I'm looking forward to, and changes that you guys can anticipate and hopefully appreciate when they finally get here. So update number one, my life has been a little bit wild. As I've kind of already opened, you can see I've got a new background. I'm in my new office. It is not fully set up at all. I'm planning on eventually doing a house tour, which is going to be part of this life update as well. As you can see, I have no script. I'm just talking, okay? So I'll get to all the major points here in a second, because I'm sure some of you are like, wait, what the heck is going on with you, Rabbit? Okay, so new office, because I did buy a house recently, and I am mostly done moving in, but there are still a couple lingering pieces, and I still technically am on the lease for our rental home, which wraps up at the end of this month, which is July. So I've primarily been here, but occasionally I've been staying over at the rental home, which is in a different county about an hour away from where I bought the house. So here's my new office. I will eventually do a house tour so you guys can kind of see it. It is not the best house in the world. It is not that magnificent. I will be the first one to say, but I bought it all by myself. So as a first-time homeowner, I'm really proud of myself for being able to do it alone. So it's not anything to get super thrilled or pumped about. I've had a few people when they've heard these updates in some of my Let's Play footage, they're like, oh my gosh, it must be huge. How many stories? And it's like, no, no. And it's not like that at all. It is a one story with an unfinished basement. I'm like in the middle of nowhere. Technically, I guess that's not true. I'm on the outskirts of a really small town. So I'm in technically like an unincorporated area. The population it's less than 3,000. It's a really, really small. It's not like 500 people small, but it's not even a full town. So I'm kind of in the middle of nowhere. I really got this property because of the land. I've got about 4 acres, and there's like a huge plot where the former occupants and the former owners had a huge garden. And so that was kind of my big draw to this property, is that it's not technically a fixer-upper, but it does have a couple of things that need to be updated and adjusted. So there are a lot of moving pieces to me occupying this residence. It was move-in ready, but it still needs a little bit of work. So I just say all of that to say I'm really excited about the house, but please don't get super pumped yourselves, because I'm sure some people when they see it are going to be like, this is the house that she has been just all up in arms about. Like, this is nothing. And I know, but it's what I could manage. So I'm really proud of it. And I don't want to hear any shit talking from any of you, okay? I'm doing the best that I can with what I've got. So new house, new office. The big thing for me with this office space is that, and I've talked about this in one of my Let's Play episodes that may or may not have gone up by the time that I record this, which is also part of my life update, that there are just so many things that are happening, and I'm going through a lot of transitions right now, and it's not just about moving. But I am transitioning actually into a remote role and a telehealth role. You guys know I'm just like combining topics. I said I was going to talk about work as like point number 2. I'm just going to lay everything out on the table. I am transitioning into a telehealth clinician role or clinical role. I have been in public health and sort of did like a weird transition from public health focus and community health focus to more mental and behavioral health focused. But I've been doing all of this for a really long time, and I've been providing a lot of intensive in-home crisis intervention counseling, just a whole suite of things. And I've occupied a like program manager and director role for a little while, and there's just been so much paperwork and then a lot of traveling, and that's kind of been the story of my life for the entire existence of this channel, hence why there have been so many gaps. Like especially when I went to graduate school, I took like a full 2 years off, and then it's with every move that my husband Andrew and I have done, I ended up with a job that required like 60 plus hours of my time, and it's been great. If you're someone that is very career motivated, and I'd say I'm like in between where I take my work seriously. I'm very passionate about helping others. You might even argue that I have like a martyrdom complex where I will prioritize other people at the expense of myself, and I feel like it is my obligation or my duty to take care of those who need it. I don't know fully where all that comes from, and I'm not trying to psychoanalyze myself. You know, some people might say that it's a good thing. Some people might say that's a horrendous thing, but you know, it is what it is. This is the reality of it, that I've historically led my life in such a way where I have prioritized others at the expense of myself, and my career was kind of the way you could really see that. It really highlighted this aspect of my personality. So I am in the process of setting up this office, point being, because I did decide to semi-recently apply for and transition out of the intensive in-home and the crisis counseling realm into more of the drug and alcohol abuse role and realm. So I will be providing telehealth services. I will be working from home. So, you know, I'm going to have eventually a super plain background. It's just a door. I probably won't even have this thing here. And yes, you can see my BarkBox. I am a relatively new subscriber to BarkBox because I'm a crazy dog lady now. I've always been a crazy animal lady with, I think at the peak I had, 7 parrotlets. I had 7 guinea pigs. And then I had a dog, and now I've lost a couple of the birds over the last few years, and I lost 1 guinea pig. So right now I have 6 guinea pigs, 3 birds, and I will soon have 3 dogs. So I'm still the crazy animal lady, but now it's sort of transitioning from small mammals / rodents and birds to me being a crazy dog lady. So anyway, point being, I have a BarkBox subscription now. Still kind of in the early stages of it, so I don't have an opinion on it. If you guys would like to see me open a BarkBox in the future, I would be happy to do that for you guys, because I think once I'm done with this, I'll probably try Kong Box, and then there's Vet Pet Box, and everybody's on the box trend. But anyway, I'll eventually have a nicer looking backdrop, I think. It still needs to be plain because I will be primarily using my computer space for my clinical work. So I'm really excited about the opportunity. I guess this is a spoiler because I talked about this in some of my videos that I was applying for it, and then, spoiler alert, I got the job, I guess, or I got the opportunity to. I was selected to move into the role, I guess is a simple way of putting it. So that's going to be really big for me. Obtaining this house and having my own property now, that's going to be good for me, because renting, I just feel like I was kind of throwing a lot of my money into the abyss and wasn't seeing any sort of return on any of it. So now I'm in the position to actually build equity. But the reason for that was I was following Andrew, my husband, around so that he could pursue his academic goals, of eventually being a professor and changing the world, because he's so smart and he cares so much about other people, and he's just a magnificent human being. But with that being said, so here's one of the other life updates, and one of the things that's really not taken a toll on me emotionally, but it's taken a lot of my time as we've been kind of navigating this. Andrew and I are going through a soft separation, I guess you would say. Nobody's filing for divorce, and there's no drama to it. There's no animosity between us. What it really comes down to is what I've talked about for years. You guys can go back and watch my earliest Let's Plays from almost a decade ago, where I was telling you guys that I want a family and I want stability. Yet every 2 to 3 years, we were moving from one state to another. Like I did my graduate program and my master's degree in Arkansas, and then we moved to Colorado. So we were in Arkansas for 2 years where I was in my grad program, and he and I were kind of at like an overlap where he was in his undergrad for an extra year when I started my grad program, and so then he had like 1 year where he was just working and I was finishing my program. So from there, we moved to Colorado, and we were there for 3 years when he was doing his MA, like one of them. He actually has 2 master's degrees. So he was doing like one of his programs, and we were in Colorado for 3 years. Then we uprooted and we moved to Wisconsin for 2 years, where he wrapped up the next phase of everything for his academics. And then we moved to North Carolina, where he did the next stage of everything for his journey towards being a professor and contributing positively to the world with his intelligence and with his huge heart. And we would have been in the process of moving again. We've been in North Carolina now. It'll be 3 years, or actually it's been 3 years this month. And I just don't want to keep doing this. I'm ready to really settle down. And it's not about owning your own house, but it's about having that stability and being ready to have a family. And I've talked to you guys somewhat extensively about the fact that Andrew's just not ready for that. He still feels like there are a lot of adventures to be had. He still wants to see the world and travel and just chase dreams. If we're like alluding to Wild Arms, Andrew is 100% a dream chaser, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. But I've been chasing his dreams for about 10 years of my life now, and I'm kind of running out of time. I'm 32 years old now, and I don't have forever to have a family, especially with PCOS. I already know I'm going to have a lot of difficulty with conception and all of the stuff related to that, not to be TMI, but I'm just being honest with you guys. This is a reality that I'm going to be facing, and probably the source of many vlogs in the semi-near future. So Andrew and I had to really sit down and have a heart-to-heart and ask one another, what do you want out of your life, and what is your timeline for obtaining that? And then, of course, allowing the other person to vocalize something similar, or, what they're truly feeling. And what it all boils down to is, we've been together since we were 15, and we've grown up together, and I feel like he's still my best friend and my soulmate, and I still love him very dearly, and he's still, my financial obligation. Like he's still on my work's insurance, and, you know, I bought him a car, and I'm still going to try to set him up to be successful with any like postdoctoral stuff, any like research initiatives, everything that he's going to pursue. I'm still going to be behind him, encouraging him and being his cheerleader, because I want him to be successful. I feel like he has a lot to contribute to the world. But I'm ready to be a mom. I'm ready to at least settle into the next steps that will allow me to be a mom. And I just don't want to move again, be somewhere for 2 more years, and then us move again. And that maybe will be where/when he'll be ready to start trying for kids. And right now it's just not a priority for him. And he was very honest about that when we had our recent conversation, where he said, you know, I know this is something you want, and I feel really bad that I never have gotten there, but I'm not there now, and I don't know when I will be. So anyway, that's kind of what spearheaded my personal movement to go ahead and pursue purchasing a home. Not that I ever thought I wanted to die in North Carolina, but this is a beautiful state. You know, you've got the mountains on one end of the state, the beach on the other end. You know, if you're in the tri-state area, you have access to a lot of things across the border in Tennessee. There's West Virginia. I think we're pretty close to Georgia too, like one of the tips of the state. So North Carolina is super long, and it's pretty diverse in terms of its geography. And I think even demographics, depending on where you go, there's a lot of diversity and a lot of opportunity here. So this is not my dream state. I really do think I should have probably stayed in Wisconsin, because that was a place that I absolutely loved. And I have some minor regrets about following Andrew from Wisconsin to North Carolina. But again, I was trying to be his right hand, and I wanted to be a huge part of his journey towards success. And I still will be, but in a slightly different capacity now. So with all of that being said, Andrew and I are still technically married. We are just separated, and we're kind of looking at like an assessment period where he needs to kind of figure out what's most important to him, is being a dream chaser. And I say this tongue in cheek, I don't mean this badly, but almost like that Peter Pan syndrome, where you still want to be a kid and you don't want responsibilities and you want to just sort of do what you want to do. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think people really, for some reason, demonize self-prioritization. They demonize, to an extent, self-care or selfishness. And I think there is a point where it is bad. You know, if you're putting yourself above everything to the point where you're actively harming everyone in your life to obtain even the most minor of goals and minor of things for you, then yeah, that's probably not amazing. But if you're someone who has goals for yourself and you're willing to sacrifice some things to achieve those goals, and you're not actively hurting anyone in the process, and you're very transparent about what those goals are, I don't think there's any reason to vilify that type of personality or that type of mindset. I've kind of been transparent with you guys for the entirety of my channel that I am a little bit of a martyr, where, you know, I went into public health because I wanted to help people. I've occupied social work / social services type positions. And then most recently in the last couple of years, I've been doing a lot of mental and behavioral health, and now drug abuse and substance abuse counseling. And I think that's just who I am. I'm always going to be that person that believes very strongly in charity being something that is a necessity, because I think it's an act of justice, and I think it's important for us to take care of people in our communities and take care of those around you. Again, I'm not going to go to the extreme of saying you should sacrifice everything for other people, but I think there's something to be said for a healthy balance. I think at this point, though, I'm starting to tilt the scales a little bit more towards my own self-prioritization. I've spent pretty much my entire life taking care of Andrew and supporting Andrew, and him supporting me too. You know, I've gotten a whole lot from him in terms of emotional support and verbal affirmation and spiritual encouragement. He's really been amazing, and I think we've complemented each other wonderfully, or we wouldn't have been together for 17 years. Like, that's a really, really long time, especially because we were high school sweethearts. And you never know where life will take you. Reconciliation is always a possibility, but I think he and I both need a year to really pursue what we want without the burden or the weight of the other person. And Andrew has really been a burden on me in the sense that I've had to suspend all of my goals and all of my dreams to follow him every couple of years. I've had to change jobs every couple of years because of him. So I've not been able to really achieve any sort of stability in my life. It's not even just about having a home or having like a family, but I've not even been able to achieve career stability because we keep moving states. We're not even just switching cities or towns. So I keep having to rebuild friend groups. And you guys know I don't have any family. My dad passed away a couple years ago, and he was sort of my rock. My mom's family's not from the United States, so a lot of them aren't even here. And the ones that are here, I've told you guys before too, my mom and I do not talk. She was a very toxic presence in my life for a long time. And again, that's not to say there won't be reconciliation on that front, but that's a whole other issue. The reality is right now, I have Andrew, and that's kind of it, and then my animal. So us constantly being uprooted, or me constantly being uprooted and moving around, is very hard for me, whereas he has a really strong family unit that they're all very involved in one another's lives, and they communicate frequently, and they're all in the United States. So, you know, they can see each other every single year, and they can talk regularly, and I don't have that luxury. I have my sister, and she and I do talk, but it's not the same, you know, without having a parent to kind of support you and be there to encourage you and tell you that they're proud of you. I don't have any of that. So a friend group is kind of like my family support, if that makes sense. So I don't want to be extreme and dramatic and say it's debilitating to constantly move and lose those social circles and lose those friend networks and that community, but it is very difficult to constantly rebuild that. So it's like I don't have a family. I can't maintain long-term friendships because I keep moving across state lines, and then I can't even maintain like some level of like work consistency and work stability because I'm moving across state lines all the time. And I'm on good terms with every employer I've had. If I move back to Wisconsin, I could easily go back to my previous employer. If I move back to Colorado, I could go back to that previous employer, you know? So it's not like I just am burning bridges everywhere we go, but I'm having to constantly cross bridges and leave them behind. And I don't want to keep doing that. So, okay, long story short, and sorry, my nose is like itching. I don't know if this happens to you guys. So I promise I'm not picking my nose. It's just itching me a little bit. But the long story short with all of that is that Andrew and I are kind of transitioning into a separation right now where we're looking at a year where we're going to assess and gauge things. He needs to be Peter Pan and he needs to be a dream chaser, and C is moving again and making friends again and doing whatever it is he wants to do. Is that more important than a stable home life with me? Because I would maybe be willing to move one more time if I knew for sure that was the final move and if we were buying a house where we were moving, but he can't promise me that. He doesn't even really want children. So I don't want to risk uprooting myself again, regretting this again like I do about Wisconsin, and then us maybe, you know, having a kid or two because he just wants to make me happy or shut me up. And then he leaves in 5 years to run off with like one of his students, which wouldn't happen. I'm being dramatic and hyperbolic here, but you guys know what I'm saying. I don't want to even put us in that position. I'd rather us take some time for self-reflection, for self-care, and self-prioritization now, and him decide, is that life what he wants more so than the life with me? And it's similar for me too, right? Like I have to ask myself, is living in my own home in a tiny town, not even a real town, in an unincorporated area, having my own little like farmland and all of my animals, is this more important to me than being with someone that I've been with since I was 15 years old? Like these are real questions and real decisions that he and I both have to weigh and ask ourselves and decide on. And if we decide that we'd rather be together than apart, then one of us is going to have to ultimately sacrifice what it is that we want or find some kind of middle ground. But I don't know how you find a middle ground with one person wants to have a couple of kids and then the other person just doesn't. One person wants to live in one place at least for a couple of years, and then the other person doesn't. They still want to travel and do all these things. So I don't know what the middle ground is, and we've spent years trying to kind of talk about it, and it's just not really, it's not a productive conversation anymore. We're just continuing to do what best suits him. And I need to now take a step back and say, like, I've got to have at least a year that I'm focusing on myself. So that is my big life update. Bought a house. I am, I guess, single-ish. I'm looking at navigating what that reality is even going to be like. Because I've been with someone since I was 15 years old. So that's very weird in your early 30s. I'm 32 now. And it's like you got to enter the dating scene and kind of. But then you also have to be transparent with people that it's like I'm not divorced. I'm just separated. And I still love him and he still loves me. And we're still really close. Like, I don't know what that's going to look like. It's already a pain in the ass. I'm not going to lie to you guys. But we'll figure it out. And it'll be okay. And it is what it is. So those are the big things going on in my life. Obviously, there are lots of little things like I've got a new dog and I'm getting a third dog, but I made announcements about the second dog. I'll make an announcement about the third dog when I get him, but my samurai clan is ever growing and ever spectacular. So I hope you guys are excited. I love dogs now. I'm such a crazy dog mom. It happened a little unexpectedly because I always loved animals, but dogs were never that much better to me than cats, and now here I am where I'm like, oh my gosh, I love dogs. I'm subscribing to BarkBox and I'm excited when they come and opening them with my dogs, throwing my dogs birthday parties. I need kids is really what it is. I have a lot of love to give and I've not been allowed to do that. I think if Andrew had been a little bit more willing to compromise, or if we had been a bit more on the same page about what we ultimately wanted early on, I would have had probably 2 kids by now. I didn't want to be 32 and maybe starting, but the reality is I'll probably be 33 or 34 before I can even start, and that sucks a lot. But it is what it is, and I can't change the past, so there's no point in bemoaning that forever. But if I had had things my way, I would have started having kids like a year or 2 outside of grad school when I was making decent money and I had a really good job. And if we had stayed there, I could have easily climbed the ranks because I'd been promoted in the 2 years that we had. It was 3 years that we were in Colorado, but I was at that job after we had been there for a year. So anyway, details that don't matter. But what does matter is I would have started having kids probably around 26 is really what I would have done. So 26, 27, I would have tried for some kids. So by now I would have had 2 or 3 and maybe be working on another one. I always wanted a really big family, like 3 to 5 kids, which I know for some people sounds crazy, but I like a group and I love children and I love people. I love community, and I think people can be really wonderful. And when they are wonderful, they're the best thing to be around. Obviously, there are a lot of not so great people in the world, but I think, you can be the change in the world that you want to see. Hence why I've kind of thrown myself into the field of work that I do. Or I should really say realms of work that I do, because it's pretty broad now. But anyway, with all of that being said, because this is now way too long and I've just been rambling about the life update part and I've not even talked to you about, well, I guess I touched on the career one. We'll keep that short and sweet, a minute max. I am taking a step back from a lot of stuff at work so that I can have more time for the channel. So I'm going to be working from home, you guys, which is going to be amazing. My hours are going to sunk. They're going to suck donkey balls. I'm going to be working from 5 a.m. until like roughly 12:30 or 1 p.m., which I'm up early in the mornings anyway, but oh my gosh, I like the early morning for recording and walking my dogs and doing all that good stuff. So it is going to be real rough getting up at 4 or honestly like 3:30 to get some stuff done in the mornings. But then the benefit of that is I have the rest of the afternoon to do doctor's visits, run errands. I don't have to rely on PLT/PTO to do things that I want to do, because if I'm done by 1 p.m., I've got until 4 or 5 p.m. to do anything that I want to before a lot of establishments, stores, agencies, whatever, close. So it's going to be both a blessing and a curse. I think it would be better even if the hours were like 6 to 2 would be better than 5 to 1, but it is what it is, and I don't get a say in that. And I'm not going to complain because I'm working from home. So it'll be really great, and that means transitioning into topic number 3, the channel update, my goals, things that I think I've been working towards and waiting on for a really long time, and this is a part of my self-care and self-prioritization journey, and really just my journey towards inner peace and inner renewal, I guess, for my spirit. I love video games, and I've not had the luxury of getting to play them as consistently as I've wanted to for a really long time because I've been the primary breadwinner, and I've had to juggle a whole lot of transitions with moving and just everything. Now I'm finally entering a realm in my life of stability, and it's going to be a little weird, but definitely welcome. And I'm excited about being able to clock out of work, finish up my clinical notes, all my documentation, process all of my billing for all of the counseling sessions and clinical sessions that I had for the day, and then start recording. So, like 2 p.m., 2:30, I can record every day if I want to because I'm working from home. I don't have to drive 45 minutes to an agency building and then spend like 2 hours of my work day driving across county lines to people's homes or to various agencies for, multidisciplinary staff meetings. I'm not going to have to travel out of state for conferences or participate in panels. Like I can do everything I need to from home. And what's even greater about the career change is that they do provide the supervision so that I can finish my LCAS. So you guys know my master's is in public health and community health, and specifically I focused on like research, analytics, statistics, and that kind of stuff for more of, I think I was interested in research, and I wanted to do a lot more on that side of public health. I never originally planned to end up as more of a practitioner, and then I kind of transitioned into the mental and behavioral health and doing a lot more clinical work than more of the analytical work. But I like the analytics a lot. I love stats and I love numbers and data. It's just a whole lot of fun. But anyway, that's like a whole other thing. So I am not like a licensed practitioner, but now I can be, and now I'm working towards it. So with this role, I'm receiving supervision to finish out my LCAS, which is the Licensed Clinical Addiction Specialist. So that'll be really great, and it'll kind of, add to the laundry list of all the credentials behind my name and all the certifications that I have. So it'll be really great for me long term. I think this position is going to afford me a lot of opportunity for the channel, especially, is really the point of what I'm saying, where I can record more consistently. I am planning on focusing for a little while on just recording one game at a time. I know when we started this most recent batch, I had 2 games that I was oscillating between, Luffy and the Fortress of Doom, and then Final Fantasy 1 via Final Fantasy Origins. We're going to wrap up Final Fantasy first, and then we're going to go back to Luffy and the Fortress of Doom. I want to tackle one game at a time for a little while just so we can get caught up and I can get on a consistent recording schedule where I'm churning out games. And then maybe next year in 2022 we'll go back to a rotating schedule, because I do know it has the advantage of giving you guys some flexibility with what you can watch. So if you don't like game number 1, every 2 weeks in the past, or every 3 weeks, you were able to just tune back in and enjoy game number 2 when I would start rolling out the episodes from that big recording batch. But I'm kind of wanting to gravitate away from that for a little while and just say, you know what, for the next like 3 months, we're playing this. And then in 3 more months, we're playing that. Hopefully you guys will like what it is that I choose. And if not, I'm really sorry. Maybe what I can also do now is throw in like a short webcam series every once in a while. I'm going to have to really look deep inside my soul and ask myself if I want to go back to doing some of those platformers that I was playing for those webcam series, because they were real hard on me, you guys, and they destroyed my soul a little bit. I'm not a platformer, but I think those make the best webcam series for me. I don't know if I have what it takes to play like a 40-hour video game with a webcam. I'm just not streaming material, like I'm very simple, I'm very plain, I'm not super attention seeking. I just don't really, I don't say this in a bad way, but I'm not the type of girl that necessarily wants people watching me while I'm playing video games all the time. To me, it seems like unnecessary pressure for me to always be presenting myself, and that's just not me. I'd rather hunker down, us just be buds, let's play games like if we were 15 and sitting on my couch in my living room at home, or at at your house on the couch. Like, let's just talk some shit. Let's just play some video games, you know, with my big, stupid, dorky glasses and my wet hair because I just got out of the shower and I don't care about blow drying it and putting on a bunch of makeup and putting on a push-up bra and, you know, and makeup. It's just not me. I'm not a good streamer, I think, or I'm not good streamer material. And I applaud people that are awesome streamers, and maybe someday it's something I could visit and do just like some super chill casual streams, but I just don't know what appeal that would have for a lot of people. I think if you're gonna just watch me like this, it's maybe easier just to do vlogs every once in a while and then just have video game footage that rolls out every day or every other day, whatever my recording schedule would be. But maybe some of you would like to see me record in real time, and maybe streaming could be a reality if I had a big enough push for it. I just don't think I'm interesting enough to look at and to listen to watch me stream, and I don't have the energy to pretend to look like something I'm not, or pretend to be something that I'm not, which I think is a big thing online. Like, people have internet personas, and that's not an inherently bad thing, but that is not me at all. So I've said this before, what you see is kind of what you get with me, and I don't know if that would translate very well to a streaming personality. So I'm lame. I can acknowledge it. I don't need anyone else to tell me. I'll say it first, and I'll say it loudly and proudly. I'm pretty dull, I'm pretty simple, and I'm pretty straightforward, and that's kind of how it is, and that's how it always has been, and it's probably how it always will be. So I think episodic content is more suited to my nature, and I guess if I'm going to do any sort of webcam footage or webcam series, it would be best to have that be isolated to shorter games that I'm not necessarily feeling pressure to stream, but I also am not committing like 3 months to needing to shower before I sit down and record like episode 72 of Let's Play Final Fantasy IX or something. You know what I mean? So we'll see what ends up happening, but the long story, I keep saying long story short, but it's long story long for every single topic I've presented in this very weird but transparent vlog, is that I'm anticipating the rest of this year being much better for the channel, because I have a lot of games that I want to play, and I think I'm finally going to be in the position to do it consistently and uninterrupted, because I'm going to be working from home. I have my own office space. You will occasionally hear my dogs being nutbags in the living room, because Musashi and Kajiro love playing Bitey Face and basically playing like they're two T-Rexes. It's a little unnerving. At first I was like, oh my god, are they killing each other? And Reddit has convinced me that this is what Huskies do, and this is what Belgian Shepherds do. So I watch them, there's no blood, and they're both fine and snuggling together and sleeping like an hour after their play session. So I'm assuming all is well, and I'm not going to question it until I need to. But you may occasionally hear the dogs, but it should be peaceful moving forward, and I should be able to record more consistently moving forward, which is going to be good for me. It'll be good for the channel, and I'm just really excited about the future of this, because I've wanted to kind of transition into like a part-time YouTube capacity for years and years and years. That was like a soft dream of mine. If I could have been, you know, like the worse, much more bootleg version of like Luca, but you know, Luca Jean, she does stream, so she's better than me in that sense. Okay, so I can't even compare myself to her. I think HC Bailey is more of what I'm like, I guess, with the episodic content and just sort of talking over your footage, and I've got a couple of walkthroughs like he does. Most of mine, though, are just, my content is not nearly as put together as his, because I'm all over the place. But it's part of my charm, right? And I tell you guys when I'm playing games blindly, or pseudo-blindly, just like I tell you guys when this is a 100% guide, this is a thorough walkthrough, here are the strats for doing all of this. So either way you slice it, I let you guys know what you're getting into at the very, very start. But I guess if you were going to liken me to another content creator, it'd be more like the female HC Bailey, even though I have no right to even compare myself to him, because he's amazing and he's wonderful, and I'm just a lame-o over here on my side of the world. But that would be such a dream for me, being able to just record content and play video games for you guys. Part-time even would be extraordinary. That's what I'd very much love to do. We'll see what happens. I think now I actually am in the position to potentially realize that dream, even if it never moves beyond a part-time capacity. I can finally at least take steps towards that. So anyway, this was a very long vlog, 40 minutes, my gosh. This is what you guys get. You've been asking me for updates. Here are all of my updates. Life is good. It's just a lot of weird stuff going on with trying to get the house. Like that was its own journey, and then getting into the house, and then the separation, and trying to be a pseudo single or like dating female in my early 30s after only being with one person for 17 years. It's just very weird, and I'm not uncomfortable with the concept or idea of dating. It's just foreign to me. I don't know. I'm lame. That's all I can say, and this is just going to be a really weird chapter of my life. So that's going on, and then transitioning, hopefully for the final time, with work into a remote capacity, which will be good because, third topic, the channel should benefit from me having considerably more time because I'm not traveling for conferences, panels, or even just work, like going from home to home and agency to agency outside of county lines or across county lines. So that's everything going on with me. As always, you guys know, if you have questions, please feel free to email me. I've been really slow to respond to emails, and I do apologize for that, but I'm hoping to get back into the swing of keeping you guys up to date with things going on with me. So I'll try to do a house tour soon. I'll send you I'll post a picture of the third dog when I get him. I've got a samurai theme going, so I'm not going to tell you guys what the third dog is going to be named, but my Siberian Husky is Musashi. My Belgian Tervuren is named Kojiro, so I will let you guess what the third dog is going to be. Or not going to be. He's going to be, well, you know what? I'm not going to spoil that. You'll see what breed he is, and then I'll let you also guess what his samurai name is going to be. And it's wild, I know. I am a lame ass. What is wrong with me? I'm going to be single and childless forever. No one's going to want to reproduce with me, and maybe that's just how it is. But I love you guys. I appreciate you all. I'm depressed that I did not drink this while I was talking for 40 minutes, but I had a lot to say, and I'm trying to be mindful of your time. 40 minutes mindful. It's probably not the most mindful, but you know, at least it wasn't 2 hours, right? Well, I appreciate you guys. Thank you for being a part of my journey through life. A lot of you have been with me for a really long time, like from my original Let's Play series, like way back in the day, like before I re-recorded some of them. I was still in my undergrad when I started making YouTube content. It was like 2010 to 2011. So I've been on YouTube now for a decade, maybe 11 years-ish. And it's wild to think how much of my life has changed. A lot of it for the better, but you know, losing Andrew is going to be really hard, and it's going to be really weird for me. And it's probably not something that I will ever fully recover from, kind of like losing my dad. A lot of people said, you know, it gets easier, but it really hasn't, and he's been dead for a few years now. So we'll see what life has in store for me. But the point of all of this is that I do deeply appreciate you guys. I appreciate you putting up with my ramblings, you putting up with the intermittent uploads, and who knows, like maybe I'll even return to more consistently doing reviews. I was doing really great for like 2 years with getting up my first impressions or initial impressions and then like final thoughts videos on games, and I've just not done anything like that for a little while. So we'll see what is in store for me, but for sure you guys will be getting a couple more vlogs, especially now that I have a setup to just record from my webcam instead of needing to rely on my cell phone. This is like kind of hard to do. My cell phone right here. So you guys will get more footage, live footage of me is what I'm saying, kind of how like I used to. But thank you again for everything. I appreciate you all. I appreciate your support. And support in every single sense of the word. You know, I have quite a few of you that have been wonderful patrons, and you've really helped me a lot with financial aspects of the channel. Like I still have horrible video editing software, and my PC is like no good, so it's rough editing footage, and I hate editing. I just hate it. It takes so much time, and I just don't like it at all. But you guys have really helped me, you know, those of you that donate, those of you that are patrons, but also those of you that just send me encouraging messages, that leave me comments, that watch. Like each and every single one of you has made such a monumental impact on my life in such a positive way. And as stupid as this might sound, I feel sometimes like the channel is the only consistent family that I have, or the only consistency in my life, because everything else seems to just change or go. And now that is even including my 17-year-long relationship. And so it's very weird for me looking at my life, like even from the start of this channel, and the only thing that's the same is that I have the channel. Like, I'm in a totally different state. I'm now in a totally different realm of public and community health, where I'm doing drug and alcohol abuse counseling and wrapping up practicum stuff for my LCAS. I'm not with Andrew technically anymore, although I guess still legally we're together, and I guess you could say even spiritually we are, but the reality is that physically we're not, and I have to just accept that and vocalize it and verbalize it, because that is the reality of everything. So it sucks and it feels really bad, but I do mean it when I say I appreciate you guys, and you really don't know what a big difference it makes in my life to read your comments. And even the people that troll and talk a lot of shit and are like, Rabbit, why is it taking you forever to get these videos up? Or Rabbit, how come you don't do thoughts and impressions videos anymore? Or Rabbit, why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? Or Rabbit, your voice is annoying. Or Rabbit, I hate your stupid face. You know, whatever you guys want to say. It still is nice to be able to get online and have people that I can interact with. Even if you guys are talking mad shit, it still feels good in kind of a weird way to know that there are people that still interact with me, because I feel like I'm entering a kind of lonely stage of my life, where I thought in my early 30s I would have a couple of kids to show for everything. And again, that circles back to what I said earlier on, that I am career motivated to an extent. I wanted to be independent financially. I didn't want to have to rely on anyone else for anything. But I wanted a unit, you know. I wanted the independence, but I also wanted to be contributing to something greater than just me. And I have in my career, but I've not contributed to anything directly related to me. And so that leaves a bit of a hole in your life. And especially when you lose family that's really important to you, like my dad, and like a spouse that you've been with forever. And especially, you know, times 3, when the disillusion of that relationship is not tied to animosity or drama or some crazy revelation like, oh, he had a second family, or, oh, he actually was using you and embezzling money from whatever you do. You know, it's like nothing like that. It's not, it's just a difference of goals, and that sucks a lot. I wish there was a way to go back in time and know for sure what everyone wants, and then you could kind of be on the same page then of, we're either in this like together, like a compromising path, or like we need to find people that are more in the camp that we're in. I think that would have really spared a lot of heartbreak for me, and for him too, I'm sure. But who knows? A year from now, everything might be fine, and that could look like a lot of things. Either of us or both of us being in different relationships where we're feeling a little bit more fulfilled, or us reconciling and everything's better because we realize, like, hey, you know, maybe for me, having a house and living in one place was not everything I thought it was going to be. I want to be with Andrew more than I want stability, as terrible as it is to say. But it could be a thing, you know, and maybe for him, he's like, you know, I really value being a free spirit, and I value being able to maintain my independence and just kind of do what I want to do whenever I want to do it. I don't want to have to worry about burping kids or changing diapers or keeping things alive. But maybe he'll realize, like, that's a lonely path too, and that might be a cup that has no bottom, and, you know, you'll consistently be filling it, and it just never fills fully, because that relationship and that consistency and that support is more than you can get from the thrill of seeking constant and perpetual adventure. I don't know what's going to happen, but what I do know is this does not need to hit 50 minutes. So I really love you guys very, very much. I appreciate you all so incredibly much, and I will talk to you guys soon. And next vlog will be much shorter. Maybe I will do like a final thoughts video on the difference between Final Fantasy via Final Fantasy Origins compared to when I played the original one. I might not. I don't know. We'll see. Or we might just wait, and then when I start a brand new series, we'll kind of pick back up with the initial impressions and final thoughts stuff. It'll be easier when I'm playing one game at a time, that's for sure. But anyway, thank you so much, you guys. I appreciate you all very much. Holler at me if you need anything, and I will talk to you later.